Welcome, YouTube. Matt along with Choco here. And today, along with chat, we're going to go over the three new units that's coming out this week in FFB. So stay tuned if it's ready for you guys to go into summer or these units are a little late and in the cold. Alright guys, so I'm going to go over the kit, what I think about it. If you guys have any questions, let me know. I will answer them, especially at the end of each unit. My goal is to have this done in about 5 to 7 minutes each to go through, especially since a lot of these is but yes, there will be chat can go ahead and talk about it and all that. And with that though, off we go. All right, so we're first going to start off with Summer Sniper Physalis, who has a very good-looking limit burst, which you just saw on screen here. Overall, in all honesty, this banner is more about their STMRs and TMRs than the units for the most part. But let's just go through them all. So let's start with Summer Sniper Physalis. Her TMR is increased limit burst gauge 4 per turn and increased equipment magic 50% when dual wielding. All in all, this is not exactly the greatest TMR, but it's not the worst. It will get a lot of uses in the magical areas if you really need to increase limit burst gauge per turn. But in all fairness, Kresnik is kind of what you're looking for anyways. But the STMR, which is her gun, is actually quite nice on magic 190, increased equipment magic 50% while dual wielding. This is a decent gun, but and it's great for increasing the magic 50% while dual wielding if you need to fit together a dual wield unit for magic. But right now, one of the big things is that Luis STMR, when you upgrade it up completely, has a lot more power overall. Yes, the 50% dual wielder can be useful, but for a lot of the units out there, this is not nearly as powerful as a gun as it was beforehand. It needed to be buffed. It didn't, and it is actually fairly disappointing. Especially if you have a couple of Luis STMRs overall. As I say, there will be uses when you need that extra 50% while dual wielding, but it's not going to be like Luis's gun, where it's incredibly high stat stick for a one-handed weapon. If this was a dual-handed magic gun, I would be a lot more excited, but it's not, unfortunately. The one thing though is for any Physalis units, you're going to want it because it has a static magic 500. But as a unit, she is not great, and it is a bit frustrating. Her vision card is also a bit odd. Base magic 60 and spirit 60, and gives magic and spirit increase by 50%. At least it's anything up there, so it's not like requires gun. But still, it's a very odd spread. There's not a lot of units that are going to want magic and spirit. But what's nice is for the vision card is that it gives 50% both true double hand and true dual wield, and the true double hand can be used with or without a shield for both magic and spirit. 50% isn't all that high, but this is a nice vision card for some tanks. You're going to give up on your spirit, but gain another 50% single wielding spirit with a shield for magic tanks, one unit that I could think of, or two units I could think of very quickly off the top of my head that would really like this is Triumphant General Celis and Maeve. They would pretty very much like this vision card over there. And all in all, it's useful but very, very niche. So let's kind of go through her weapons and armors. Her weapon's just a gun. Her armor is a hat, helm, clothes, light armor, and rings. Mostly, though, she prefers bikinis, as you can see in the picture below. One thing that she can do is she can increase magic max up to 300% for one action to caster. This allows her to build up. Not really super useful. Her Magnus ability, water and magic physical damage for 4 turns at 30%, is actually pretty low overall just to herself. If you have example is there's other units that can AoE to all units that are higher. Not really happy about that. Increased magic 280% to caster. Magic damage against insect 150%. 4 turns to caster, and increase LB gauge 60 to caster. I'm gonna be honest. This is horrible, horrible. The only good thing about this is increasing limit burst gauge to 60, and I guess insect magic damage. But all in all, it doesn't even increase her limit burst damage, and it's very, very disappointing as a unit. So very disappointed there. Her big damage ability, and also gives 30 limit burst gauge to all allies, is her skill, but it's a 7-turn cooldown available on turn 7. Generally in global, it will be available a little bit earlier. It's a bolting strike, does a lot of damage, which you can use at the end. But all in all, if they don't lower this drastically, it's really not all that usable. The ice and water magic here, bolting strike, is going to be your main damage overall, and she can triple cast. She gets 6 if you get her to, and let me just make sure. Yep, to EX2, she will get 60 limit burst crystals at the start of a battle to auto cast her limit burst if you're ready, if it's fully maxed out. And EX3 gives 500 static magic. She does have some physical evasion with some LB damage, and she really does hate aquatics and insects, which are very odd killers and not very useful in the game. She will increase her limit burst gauge automatically every turn at 4. And if she has her TMR or STMR equipped, she will actually be at 300% physical and magic damage against insects automatically, and gets another 100% magic when equipped with a gun. You are going to want to equip her STMR if you have it because of that 500 static magic. So you are going to equip at least her gun to herself. And along with the 200% magic here, if I remember correctly, she's already at 300% magic. Doesn't require very much there. Her limit burst damage is at 150. And dual wielding, I think she still needs another 100%. But all in all, she's fairly easy to build, but not really super useful. She can decrease water resistance with her normal attack, which is kind of nice at 120%, so it does have some power there. She can cast CWA chains more on the water side than the ice side, but she can go between those two. But the main reason is she is a super limit burst unit. Want to take a look at her kit. She has a very large water magic damage, 300x to one enemy attack, and it gives her slightly higher water and magic damage at 35%, But honestly, if you're going with Water Team, you're probably going to want to use Lord of the Seas Nicole, which gives a higher water and physical damage there. Um, and she will increase her damage against insect aquatic 100%, but just to herself as well. Almost none of that's important for the super limit burst. It's just a doubling of the damage. And even if you have her EX3, it will require 3 turns for you to get there. Her water limited damage is way less than, as Barb just said, Angela, who can be increased over and over, even though it is fairly hard to do so sometimes in equipment. Overall, as a unit, she is pretty disappointing. There's really not much to sugarcoat it. There's just much better units overall. Even from a water damage standpoint, maybe for Magic you're going to use her a little bit, but she is very limited in that regards. And that is correct, Gladios. Water area effects from Envy Luna. So who does better damage overall compared to Physalis for the most part, anyways. Uh, all in all, not really a great unit, and not even a unit that I would say is really needed from a STMR or TMR standpoint, which she was more so in Japan. Um, as I say, this weapon right here, the only real positive of it compared to Luis's STMR, yes, you do have to grind it, but it's very well worth it, is this 50% dual wielding. Oh, yeah. As I say, very disappointing unless if she does get a global buff. If she does get a global buff to some of the stats here, then she'll be worth it. But from what's basically the reading here, we don't really see a great deal of. Doesn't say it's global exclusive or increase here. Don't see any buffs. It seems to be very, very standard here. So we're just going to go and assume that it's the same as JP. And if so, it is not worth going for her very, very hard. Now let's go with Beach Buoy Shinju or Shoreline Shinju if you do the JP here. We will go with the Super Trustmaster here. And Trustmaster. The Trustmaster is a materia that gives 20% lightning, wind, water, and earth, and gives 400 limit burst gauge every turn. This is not the greatest, but I do like having limit burst gauge fill along with elemental resist. I kind of would like to see maybe 30% for only having 4, especially with this being a Neovision and not a 5-star unit. So I would rate this as a relatively lower end TMR as well. The STMR is a little bit more interesting. 70 magic ring gives 20% water and earth resistance, and will also give 100% charm and boost limit first gauge by 100%. The charm and good magic at 70 with some resistances make this a pretty good STMR overall. I do think that this will be used a great deal. The only thing that's higher right now in global for magic is the Curse Doll Plus, which you can only have one of. And the only other accessory at 70 is Heliite, which is actually a pretty good 70 magic that reduces MP costs. But I still see Curl Floaty being used relatively consistently between the two, depending on what you need. So this is a good STMR. And I think it's going to be much more usable and much more in demand compared to Physalis's. The vision card here is this vision is the base magic here. Again, same vision card. Each 3 of these units are going to have the same vision card. They try to make it equivalent for everything. So let's just go with another super limit burst here. The equipment is rods and whips. Gladios, I'd say I'm trying to get 4. I think 3 is the optimal. 2 is good enough. The armors here, we've got hat and some basic armor and rings. Once again, fairly limited for armors. She can triple cast, which is good, but we're going to talk. She is basically just the Earth version of Physalis and pretty disappointing. She has here, except at least the stone is a little bit more useful, but still pretty consistent for her Magnus ability. It's just Earth. Once again, this is pretty disappointing. At least if it was just a caster, it should be 50%, maybe 65% if you're going to go there, but 30% just doesn't cut it. Cacteria is just better anyways. I will say that for a bolting strike, I do think that this is an interesting skill. Inflicting charm for 3 turns to 1 enemy at 90%. There's at least a little bit of interest here. With the bolting strike, earth magic damage, if you are focusing on earth with Cacteria as an example, the 200 max bolting strike's not too bad overall. As you know, that's a pretty good chainer overall, especially for a magic user, and it avoids the CWA change, which I know a lot of you don't like if you're not using macros, and I understand. So at least as an earth chainer, she has, I think she has a little bit better use overall than Physalis as well. But once again, just earth. She doesn't even have 2 elements. She just has earth here. And a normal one here that reduces earth resistance by 120% as well. But most likely, as I say, if you're really going to be using her, you're probably going to be using her in a group with Cactrika or other earth units as well. Unless if you're brand new to the game or just unlucky, but she still can reduce it by 120 with a normal skill. She has the ability to get 60 limit burst crystals at the beginning. If you get her an EX2, EX3 gives her another 500 magic. She can upgrade her normal attack. Looking here, she hates aquatics and stones. You're going to find that each of these units don't like aquatics at all. Her magic and LB damage is increased, but at least she has some guts if her HP is above 30%, which is useful for LB gauge again with some MP return. So if you're looking here, she's got 300% magic, 200% limit burst, 100% there, and 200% single. And if you increase that with her STMR or TMR, it goes up to 300% of true dual wield. Magic. So she only is looking for. She's looking for 100% magic, 100% LB, and 100% true double hand magic. So she's relatively easy to equip, along with if you're fighting aquatics or stones, then she's really easy, especially with stones. She'll be 300 already. But otherwise, it's not too bad. And once again, she's very interesting here. She has the ability to charm and inflict stop to all enemies. So at least she has some unique skills. Might not be the best unit, but as a unit, she's at least an interesting build. If you care about Arena and you're one of like 500 that do, she's actually really, really nasty in Arena because of this stop. But all in all, it's not too great. Yes, she does have CWA chains for water, but that's her only other element. Let's just go with her limit burst. Once again, exactly the same as Physalis. The only difference is You're looking at stone versus the other unit that she had, and also she is earth damage instead of ice damage. Or water damage, I should say. All in all, these two units are not all that great. At least I think Shinju has a better overall kit than Physalis. From an interesting standpoint, Physalis has a better kit for at least being able to use two elements relatively reliably, both for bolting strike and for CWA chains. But they are very focused. The and even the super limit burst isn't super strong. If they do get buffed, if it goes up to say something like 450, then there might be some interest overall. But until then, these are just units that you'll get off banner, and I don't think you should invest a lot of resources in. The last unit is going to be one unit that I've been waiting for, but not for the unit itself, Magic Mermaid Freesia. And let's just kind of go over hers a little bit as well. So her Trust Master reward is fairly decent, but not the greatest. It's a staff, 80 magic, 140 spirits, can restore MP 10% and LB gauge 400 every turn. This is where the Trust Master is actually somewhat useful. I will probably try to get 3 or 4. Just only because with a lot of the especially cow bosses we've been having that are MP drainers, which is the most annoying freaking mechanic in the world. If you are using a staff and a dual wield staff, this is a great dual wield, at least secondary, to help you with MP issues throughout the battle, especially if you're going to have Kresnik as the one that's going to go through there. You're not really interested in having the highest SPR, and being able to restore MP by 10% is really, really helpful. But the other STMR that I've been really looking forward to, a Shy Mermaid, is the skill here. Shy Mermaid boosts equipment SPR 200% when a single weapon is equipped in one or both hands. This is absolutely fantastic for units that are SPR to double hand units. As I say, General Celis along with Maeve. Love these because it kits with the shield. Works with the shield as long as they don't change it from that. That is exactly what we've been waiting for the longest time. But the rest of her kit's at least a little bit different. The vision card's exactly the same. Let's see here. She has a little bit more. She can equip a shield. But all in all, you're really not going to use her a great deal either. But I think this is where at least she might be interesting. Her EX3 skill increases physical and magic damage against aquatic enemies at 160% for 4 turns. There's going to be niche uses for this. And she's the only one that has aquatic so far. The other thing I do like is this 10 turn cooldown, but available on turn 1. And they're not changing that here, but it's available on turn 1, which is important. Increases attack, defense, magic, spirit 300% for 4 turns to all allies. Increase LB damage 100% that can't be dispelled. Physical and magical aquatic reaper for 100%, and give 60 LB to herself. This is a great skill. And it allows her to be your main buffer along with aquatics, especially if you've got another unit that can help out with giving all. But if you are looking for a wind element on top of that, she is also very useful because she can also do wind elemental to everybody with physical and magic damage to 30% and increase wind and earth resistance to 100% for 4 turns to all allies. She has a bolting strike with wind, and she can mitigate damage taken against Reapers by 50% for both physical and magic, and increase magic damage against Reaper 100% for 5 turns to all allies. So if you're fighting a Reaper, especially in Cow, and you're looking for assist there as well, she is also very much useful. Out of the 3 units, her kit makes the most sense. And I do see it being used, but it's still fairly niche overall. She has the ability to cast her Limit Burst or get 60 crystals start of a battle. She's increased resistance stop by 100% and has a 100% chance of not being targeted right off the bat. Hates Reapers and Aquatics. Yada, yada, yada here. And looking at here, she will be able to autocast this skill right here, which grants physical attacks taken by all allies with a normal attack. So she has a very interesting units that have an interesting normal attack. They have a chance, and it's by all allies. So it's a unique skill that gives everybody a counter. Example is if you have a Kresnik, that will allow you to give up to 40 Limit Burst crystals. There are uses for Freesia that are very, very odd and niche, but there's going to be some abilities that you will be able to do with Magic Mermaid Freesia that you won't be able to do with a lot of other units. And personally, it is very interesting overall. I think she is the only one that if you are going to pull for a unit, this is the one that you will want to pull for. But once again, none of these are super, super needed, but she has some very unique uses. Her magic, she has both Protectga and Shelga, and she can do water chaining like all the others. She at least also has Dispelga in case you need to do the Dispelga trick or anything like that as well. And she has CWA for wind. Her Limit Burst is very interesting as well. It's all for wind. So she gets it's an odd split here. Actually, never mind. It's great skill. She increases attack, defense, magic, spirit 300%. She will give LB damage and wind and magical buffs. But if you wait till her super limit burst, she also adds wind elemental attack along with it and gives 45% instead of 35% and 300 LB damage instead of 200% LB damage. So once again, she is going to be the Balrog is a very good wind ally. She is a little bit better, but it's going to be kind of dependent on which is more important. Does she have a killer that's not in for Balrog? But all in all, she at least has a unique ability. And once again, too, this auto casting. The auto casting of that is grant a chance to counter physical attacks taken by all allies and 1 per turn. Very, very interesting, niche, but can be abused for mechanics, especially since we have Kresnik. Or any other unit that you need to counter to help with healing, etc. So, out of the 3, I think Magic Mermaid Freesia's got the best kit. If you're going for waifu or for best beachwear, Physalis obviously is the best looking kit, depending on your exact interests. But from a unit, I'm most interested in Mermaid Freesia, both for the STMR and her unique niche skills. So I'm going to say YouTube, thank you very much. I'm going to be allowing the chat to ask questions, but As of right now, I'm just going to say I hope you guys enjoy. I'm going to try to do this every week now, either on Tuesdays if these are not global exclusives, or Thursdays at noontime Eastern if they are global exclusive units, to go over the units and to help create a good discourse. So I hope you guys enjoy. You can visit me live at twitch.tv/Madgarou. And at this standpoint, I'm going to go answer some questions. So you guys can log off if you want, or stay tuned for all the questions. Bye, everyone. All right, Gladios. As I say, two Braskas is good. So most likely you're going to need 2 blue waves. I'm shooting for 4, only because a lot of the units that are coming out don't have the greatest chaining opportunities. I don't expect to need more than 4, because at that point, then why am I chaining if I'm going to be using blue waves beyond that? But I think 4 is overkill. 3 is probably best. Yeah, the mermaid should be human. It's just Freesia in a mermaid costume. Human. But yeah, this is the unit I've been waiting for the STMR. But on top of that, though, there's not really a lot of other incredibly needed units. As I say, I think the next unit that I'm really going to be interested in is probably going to be Christmas, which is probably next week. But yeah, this is going to be a fairly light week for me for polls. Do we have any other questions? Where? They are not limited. I rate this as a 90% skip banner for pretty much everybody. The only ones, as I say, I think some very interesting, because we have Kresnik, I do think that Freesia might become a very interesting unit to use. No, I did not. Yes, Ted Cruz, winter's coming. But overall, no, that's fine. It's fine, Mark. I saw that last winter. I just forgot about it, and it kind of came back up. Yeah. Every unit, unfortunately, the way that they're designed, like Freesia is going to have some uses at EX1, but everyone requiring the EX3 for something is really annoying. But yeah, the Spirit STMR is probably the most you need is 2. But the only unit that I would... Oh yeah, no, Shops. You are absolutely right. But I just don't think that there's going to be 2. In all fairness, Physalis and Shinju, yeah, they give you 500 stats with the EX3, but their usefulness doesn't increase with the EX3. So, you missed the TLDR, but the TLDR is this. The first 2 units, Physalis and Shinju, are bad. Not as bad as Riku, but they're bad. And Freesia has a great STMR. You probably need 1 or 2 of them, but not really need to pull. But she has at least a kit that's usable, that is decent. and it's a little niche because it's aquatic, but she has the one skill that if you have Kresnik, grants chance to counter physical attacks taken by all allies. Oh, actually, it's just caster. It does kind of act like a Kresnik here with the 3 to all allies, but there's a new Physalis unit. Yep. And we'll just go here. Shoreline Physalis. She has a CG as well. Summer Sniper Physalis. Oh yeah, 100% shops. I agree. Yeah, well, her CG is her shooting via a sniper at Mog, sorry, for throwing water on her. So she's a summer sniper. And we're getting summer sniper basically on the December solstice, so perfect timing by Gumi. But the banner itself is a fairly easy skip, unfortunately. I have combined all mine. We're I'm expecting shops for us to get a video this Monday to kind of describe what's going on. As I say, I do expect to for us to get the cow units next week. I expect to see an upgrade for Eldrin. I wouldn't be surprised if EX3 gives him 250 or 500 attack and magic static. Maybe that he'll get some buffs to his skills. So I do expect an Eldrin rework. And once again, he'll be a very interesting counter unit. But I just don't see how counter units at all that useful in this game anymore. Other than Arena, and once again, very few people are interested in Arena. Yeah. With them focusing on making new cow bosses and obviously not really spending that much time to see how horrible they are. Yeah, I know. We have, as I said, Eldrin is a great arena unit, but too bad we don't have anything that's worthwhile for arena to even use it on. Um, all in all, yeah, this is a pretty bad. No, Genie, I have not seen red. Oh, and for DBK, I do owe him this.
Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you!
Yeah, I know he's going to need to get some pretty solid updates, and I just don't see it. I still think they're going to give him some updates. Oop, that's not what I'm looking for. There we go. But yeah, this week it's they're going through a whole bunch of units that they made that just suck, and they are just trying to get through them quickly, and we are just that much faster catching up to JP. Yeah. Now the question is for Cow, what are they going to do to him, and are they going to make him useful? But I'm also hoping that, you know, like Behemi, like a Cacteria's Cow updates are going to be that much better too. I mean, they're much more useful, but getting those Cow updates. Right now, Barb, yes, he's going to suck ass in Cow. You know, that would be nice. But I have a funny feeling that they're not going to give NVA's Cow updates. Or very, very few. But Kryla is a limited time unit, so there is a chance for that.